At this pivotal time in humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are divine creatures, creating both our own personal and our collective experience, moment to moment. We invite you to join us in a reawakening of this technology through experiment and experience the power to create and manifest. Become part of the 3%. The collective imagination.
Welcome everyone to this week's Collective Imagination program. And I'm joined, as always, by my partners in crime, Barbara from New York.
I'm here.
How you doing?
I'm excellent. Ready to go. Woohoo!
Excellent. And Bob. Bob in Pennsylvania.
Yes, Lisa, I'm here, ready to go. Welcome everyone to the show. Going to be a great show again. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, last week was lovely.
Oh, yes. It was really good. Got a lot of good stuff today, too.
Great. And Michael, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everybody.
I keep forgetting where you are.
Oh, I'm center of the universe.
Yes, of course you are.
I'm in Georgia, United States.
Okay. And Peter, my fellow Aussie.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Peter Shelton. I come from the Palladium Institute.
For those of you who don't know, Peter's taking the piss out of me right now. I was accused of being, what was I, guys? A
computer-generated CGI personality that was run by the cabal. And a dominatrix.
Gotta love it. Yes, you gotta love it. Okay, so we're all here, and I am here. I am not a projection. So, last week's show, really powerful, and I really felt that we did have an in the moment impact, and that what we did was just so real. And the feedback that I've gotten from last week's show through personal messages and Facebook messages has just been lovely. So thank you for those.
Yeah, and Lisa, just for anyone who wants to listen to that, you can find it in the archive section of our Blog Talk Radio site. You can also find it on iTunes and just under podcast, The Collective Imagination. And we have it under our YouTube channel. We put a copy up there with some visuals for folks who prefer to absorb data that way, and that's YouTube. I think it's just, our site is Co-Imagination. So you got 3 ways you can listen to last week's show if you want to.
And eventually, well, all of our shows, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the shows will end up on the YouTube channel as well.
Yep.
Eventually. We'll get around to that. And Michael, last week you kicked the show off with some pretty interesting stories about what you've been up to lately. Anything to add?
I've done a lot of...
Barbara, can you throw the link up for the show? The blog? Sorry.
Parallel travel, I guess you could call it time travel, though it takes place in the lighter frequency, so you don't take your physical body there, but just doing a lot of that. And it's really interesting, whether you go backwards or forwards to any time, it's like you find another part of you that's like already there, and you can live it for pretty much as long as you want, and everybody feels just as real as everybody that I'm talking to here, they all have emotions and feelings and opinions and everything. And it's interesting to me because this is what the metaphysical books always said, that you have past yous and future yous and spontaneous yous, and each one of them thinks of the real you. So just events like that. So for me, it's mostly so that we lay the body down, we just enjoy the other parts of the universe and such as this.
What about you, Pete? What's your current project? Because I know you're always working on stuff.
Yeah, I like to. I've been concentrating on binding people's hands. People who want to go down the wrong path, which is like create war and stuff like that. I've been concentrating on the power source there and just literally putting bindings on them. That's been cool. I've been also connected with the last week's show. I've been trying to connect with souls that have made the wrong choice and so on, and been also researching police, and I'm doing the positive part of that, which is I've been trying to find the positive things they are and trying to show them that this is the way to react. Because if you notice, if a police officer reacts in the positive way, straight away they get respect from the person they're reacting with, and it doesn't turn into violence, it doesn't turn into anything. It's quite amazing. So I've been doing that thing as well. So, I'm always and just playing with energy as usual, projecting into animals. That's been fun. Just doing my normal stuff.
Projecting into animals.
Yeah, becoming an animal. Seeing through their eyes for a sec.
Bob, you've done that, haven't you? Michael, it sounds like I think it's on your line we've got echo.
I'm muted.
Okay. Bob.
I don't know if I've done exactly what Peter's done, but I have a very strong affinity with animals, empathically. So I can, I guess I can kind of step into them and kind of know what's going on, what they're thinking, what they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually looking through their eyes, though.
Okay, we've got Chris who has called in. I'm going to bring Chris out. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, everybody.
How are you doing today?
Oh, deep in the belly of the beast, pushing levers.
Now, you were there with last week's show, and you participated in the meditation. How did you find it?
I was actually absolutely exhausted at the end of it, and although the visualization I ended up doing wasn't really what the guys were saying, for some reason or other my head went some other direction. It was certainly dragging a massive amount of energy out of me, and although I felt good at the end, I was actually pretty useless for an hour or so.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty common feeling.
So I felt I felt like something really happened. That's how it felt.
Sorry, somebody in the background, a neighbour, has decided to start hammering, so I just muted myself for a minute. That's very annoying. It's showtime, people. Now, in regards to today's show, I know that everyone's got some ideas, so I'm going to bring Michael out to talk about what your thoughts are on our intention for this week.
All right. Well, what I was thinking about is that I would just like a lot more of our audience to become connected to soul, which is, as Peter and I call it, it's mind. And it's basically, you've got your brain, and everybody's been calling the brain the mind, but it's not. The brain is part of the body. It's a storage device. It's like a hard drive that just stores memories. And until you awaken to mind or soul, that's really all you are. In potential, you're a full soul, but in actuality, you're basically an animated hard drive. And I'm not trying to sound harsh or derogatory in any way. This is just the truth of how it works. It's how a new personality is made within the source energy. And then you unify your brain with your mind, which is your soul, which is in the electromagnetic spectrum. It's all of the energy that's inside of you and outside of you and all around you. You know, the Bible has a funny term for it called the Holy Ghost. And then you pretty much immortalize your personality. And once you've done this, when you close your eyes, you don't go to sleep anymore. You don't experience this black space where nothing happens. You wake up in all sorts of other places, all sorts of different embodiments, and some of them are bodies, some of them are physical bodies like this one, and it just opens up a whole range of activity that's just completely freeing, because all of a sudden this isn't only life you have, not only that, but you can get real information of your own as to as what pertains to this life. Like you can use the God source, you can call it the source, or you can call it soul or higher self or whatever you want to call it, but it's there for you to train you in other type of environment of limitless possibilities. So at any time you can just levitate up in the air and just surrender your energy and just say, take me where I need to go. And this other part of you is, you know, fully intelligent, knows how to travel all of these dimensions, and will just grab a hold of you with an invisible force and take you from place to place. And it isn't long until you see that this force is benevolent and that it's your best interests at heart, and it's just trying to teach you, you know, show you the ropes of how to operate interdimensionally, how to experience all of that, plus how to, you know, enrich this life here. You know, it'll help give you information as to what's coming per your current reality creation paradigm. It can also help straighten out emotional patterns. I mean, I could go on for probably like 30 minutes, 40 minutes straight talking about the benefits of actually integrating the full soul into your experience. But that's what I would like to see.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
You keep talking about the full soul. You're triggering the information that came from Chris Thomas in the last interview that I did that just went up a couple of days ago, or yesterday. He is the guy who reads the Akashic, and he says that that's what we're doing right now. And this is completely in alignment with what you and Peter talk about. It's actually in alignment with what Alpha Ra said. It's in alignment with a few of the people I've spoken to and interviewed. Is that right now we are going through the process of bringing the whole soul into the body. That's what the whole experiment on this planet has been about, is creating a vessel that hold the whole soul in the body. And he also talks about, which I think we've talked about too, and certainly I've expressed that last year, the calendar date of the calendar being, you know, October last year, was the real end of that calendar, and this period between October and December of this year is this integration process. And it's like you say, there is no moment, there's no date. That this whole year really is a period where we can bring the whole soul into the body anytime we like, anytime we're ready, and take that step.
It's more of a psyche thing, because it's not as simple as people think. Just all of a sudden, bam, you're limitless and it's all happy roses and rainbows. I mean, you've got to prepare your psyche for this, because really going insane is the danger. It's not whether or not humanity's like ready for it in any other way. So it was really about preparing the ego level psyche to be prepared for it. And we've always existed in other levels of awareness, but what the ego actually is, what the body actually is the most intense concentration of focus that we've ever achieved. In other words, all of this wonderful stuff I do in worlds that are just as real and legitimate as this one, I'm not as awake there. Nobody is that does out-of-body stuff. You're in a subconscious type of focus. You're not nearly as dialed in and awake as you are when you're in the body. but you're in an energy body, though. In another sense, it feels like you're more alive, but you're not as focused. In other words, you can't access your memories as well as you can when you're in the ego focus. So I think it's accurate what they're saying, but it'd be more accurate to say that we've never achieved limitless potential in an ego focus before. We've always had to retreat back to a subconscious focus to do that.
I'd like to say something, Michael, on this. Let's try and think about it like this. I'm not trying to freak out. I just want you to think about this idea. What happens if there's not 9 billion people on this planet, that there's only 9 million people on this planet? And all the other things are fragments of yourself. Michael and I have stated we are the strongest fragment. So we've already done that. We've grounded that in. We've made it. So any time one of these fragments dissipates, we are the source they come back to.
Well, actually, Chris had something to say about that too, in a way, because he said that according to the Akashic records, the population peaked at around 7 billion mark in the 90s, and it's been dropping ever since. And there's only about 3.5 billion people on the planet right now. And the rest of it, the figures that we're being given, is propaganda to support the whole overpopulation, climate change, we're responsible for killing the planet, information or disinformation, and that the number of, the population numbers are dropping dramatically, and I believe in part to support what you're saying, that these are fragments that are going back and sort of going back to the main host in order to bring in more of the soul.
Yes, exactly. And so the difference between what most people are doing, they just wait for this to happen and think which one is the strongest fragment. Whereas Michael and I have already done that and brought these fragments back, and some I actually bring some back prematurely. Doesn't mean I want to exterminate someone. It just means that I actually take that fragment back so they keep living a normal life. But I want that energy to be able to better mankind. The thing is, I'm actually a fragment of the original thought pattern. The only difference is I've individualized myself, and so has Michael, and so have you guys. But he doesn't want us back. He wants to actually, this energy wants to actually come and stand with us. And once we can hold our whole soul masses each, this original thought pattern is going to basically let go of that first thing and recreate itself on this 3D realm as a physical, solid being once again. And that's the most exciting time, because then we get to talk to this as a physical being, instead of this having to connect to the God consciousness or soul, whatever you want to use the word. We use God, grandfather, whatever you want to call it, you can call it. Higher self, whatever you want. But you will actually physically get to talk to that, and it will talk. And I believe.
Hang on, I'm not sure if I'm following what you're saying. That you're saying that what we call God, or the Creator, is no longer going to come back its fragments. It's going to physically manifest on planet as an individual.
Yes, that's the whole idea of us holding this realm and this energy and bringing the density down, is so he or it. I don't like to put sexes on that thing, because it's just an energy. But it's easy for me to relate to it as he for some reason, because it's projecting and not receiving. At the day that it does, it will actually ground itself here and become just as real as we are, which means that it will, from that day onwards, this will be the beginning of the next universes. So that's why the rest of the universe is in awe of what we're about to do, because no other being in the universe can do this apart from us.
Why us?
Because we are the energetic mirror of that energy. We are the physical form of that first energy, and the rest of the universe recognizes that. There's only two races that have ever called themselves like we do, the reflection of God, and that's one race actually lives here with us now, and I'm not going to go into that because it's too complicated. And the other is us, and that's it. And we're the only ones that are taking this thing and going, well, we want to balance technology, we want to balance spirituality, we want to balance everything like that. And this momentum of this positive reinforcement, we seem to be, if you've noticed Facebook, and all these other media sources, it's all about self-empowerment and being whole again and all this sort of thing. There's a reason for that. This is the pattern that has been set for this period of time. And like Michael and I, ascension's been happening for 5 years. It's just at the moment, the momentum has been thrust at, like someone's, that energy source has said, right, time to hit the accelerator. Let's see how much these mothers can handle, so to speak. And he knows our breaking point already, because we talked about it on the last show. He's seen what the breaking point is. He doesn't want us to all end up in psycho wards. So he knows how much he do, and he knows when to it knows when to take the foot off the accelerator for a little bit and give us a rest, and then it whacks it on again. Easy as that. And so that's the way I like to make it, so it's sort of simple in a way for people to understand.
So even though you work with the higher, lighter frequencies, Michael works with more grounding earth energies. When you guys connect with whatever it is you connect with, you come up with exactly the same answers? Do you ever?
Yes, every time.
Every time.
Mm.
So you've never had an opposing experience?
We've had opposing opinions. But usually when we connect to that higher source, we get told that, no, this is the way. And I end up talking to Michael, and he goes, yeah, I disconnected with it too, and it said exactly the same thing. So that's how we solve our problems, to be quite honest. If we think that, there's one direction or another way. I'm never completely right, and neither is Michael completely right. But at the same time, when we have that confirmation from that source and ourselves, it literally shows us on the 3D realm. For instance, media sources will all change to show us that this is so. And we'll see many different things that will go, oh yeah, right, we've got it right now.
Okay. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Michael?
Yeah, it's two different perspectives we come from. Like, he'll say higher source, and I'll say greater source, but it's the same energy. If you picture, an explosion or a wave, it's going to be denser at the start, and then it echoes out and gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and then there's a maximum expand where it starts back in. Peter's out riding those higher waves of lighter frequencies, and I'm catching the same exact source, but holding it in my being from a real great solid density, or you could say like lower vibrations, if you want to use that term. But the New Age has really got things really out of skew when they say lower vibrations, higher vibrations.
I like to use the word more grounded vibrations, Michael, because when that word lower does have bad connotations to the New Age, because they've always slammed that thing, even though it is a lower frequency. It's actually a more grounded vibration. And I'd like to be a little bit more like Michael, because these higher vibrations sometimes knock me around because I get lots of information, lots and lots, and sometimes it's not the sort of information I want to get. It's some of it quite upsetting. So anyhow, I'll leave that as that.
Yeah, I mean, picture, those of you that have been schooled in music, you've heard about the overtone series, right? So, in other words, if you sound a bass note like A110, a real deep note, and you hold it, echoing out of that bass note automatically is an A220, an octave higher, and then the next echo out is a fifth higher than that, and it goes on and on. It's called the overtone series. It's how the Greeks figured out, to make the notes. Our musical scale comes from an overtone series, where if you sound a deep note as a harmonic echo, there's a infinite number of lighter notes on top of this deeper source note. Another way I could help you guys understand is you take the bass string on a guitar. It's a really deep note, right? A low vibration. Well, if you want a higher vibration, you pinch that string in half and strum it, and what happens? You get a higher note. Now just picture that this, you can keep pinching this string down, 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 down. You can slice it into 1/32nd, into 1/64th. I mean, you can pinch it infinitely less. Even though your finger might not be able to do it, but mathematically it'd be possible to shorten that string an infinite amount of times by, pinching it. If you go down to a lighter string on the guitar, you can sound a lighter note, but what's the one thing you can never do? You can never sound that source note or the bass note, up above it. So it's actually the density that spawns all of these higher frequencies, and why when people go out of their body and into these higher or lighter frequencies, they're not as awake, they're not as centered or focused or grounded, if you want to call it that. But that's how energy works. It starts from a real deep, heavy, forceful vibration, and then echoes out into lighter vibration. It's the human psyche that interprets deeper and stronger vibrations as negative, because a vibration's neutral, right? It's just a wave. So it's as the human psyche feels these stronger currents, they tend to say, "Oh, that feels bad," or that's negative. That's their own coloring. You can feel how you want to feel about anything. I always like to say love is an interpretation of light, and that's quite obvious because everybody has a different idea of what love is. Some people love rock and roll and chaos and a chaotic lifestyle. Some people love the Zen type thing where they basically feel as little emotions as possible. Some people love to skydive. People have a totally different coloring on love is. Well, it's the same thing with fear. Love and fear are not a vibration in themselves. They're how the psyche feels about a vibration. Because you can be afraid of anything you want to be afraid of. You can also love anything that you want to love. So it's constantly what I'm trying to tell people. If you're trying to access greater levels of source energy, you go in, or you go into thickness or more grounded, thick, dense waves of energy. And that's how you get closer to the greater source. If you want to access higher intelligence, then you go out into these lighter ways where there's more possibility of information because the energy is more scattered. But like Peter said, it's easy to get lost out there because the further out you go, the more you start to just access complete infinite possibility based on anything. So
I'd love to
just
in the chat room, anybody who can relate to having an experience of what Michael and Peter are talking about, can you please let us know in the chat or give us a call? And the call-in number is 646-716-4598. So if you can really relate to what they're saying, and it's not just a conceptual explanation for you, then I'd love to hear your experiences. It seems like Mike in the chat room really gets what you're saying. And it's great to hear your stories from you two, but I want to hear what everybody else is experiencing as well. Mm-hmm. Bob, what about you? Have you can you relate to what they're talking about experientially?
I've had lots of out-of-body experiences. And when you're out of body, and I don't know if this is the same as what they're describing, but when you're out of body, everything seems more real. In a sense, colors are brighter. You can literally see the light coming out of everything. You can see the energy as it moves, but you also forget yourself, just like he does. So and that way I can relate, but I'm not as familiar with a lot of the detecting a lot of the different finer vibrations or finer vibrations, grounding vibrations. This is I kind of play up in the higher ones, like Peter, and it's something that I'm just starting to get used to. So.
Okay. What about you, Barbara?
No. That's what I would love to be able to get to. I have amazing experiences when I'm meditating. I would not ever call them out of body, but they're so lucid and so rich with color and visuals and things like that. But it's what a lot of people experience when they're meditating. But I do feel like I am somewhere else sometimes. Some of my meditations take me so deep that when I come out of them, I realize that I actually felt like I was somewhere else. But it was just that I was so deeply into the meditative mode that it was almost like I moved to a different state of mind, but it wasn't out of body or anything like what these guys are talking about. But maybe one day. I'm just happy with my synchronicities.
one of the things that I have to say, when you first experience anything like this, and there's so many different experiences in the whole human experiment. There's so many different experiences that we have that we dismiss and we brush off, and we say that it's not real. But when you have one of these experiences, there's no doubt that you're not dreaming. There's no doubt that you're not sleeping. You are completely aware and completely conscious of what's going on and what's happening around you. And when you feel that and you experience that for the first time, it opens up the whole new world of possibilities, because you cannot deny the realness and the profundity of experience. It's one of those things that you just know. Hey, there's something more than what I was told. There's more to me than what I was told, and it's not a passing fantasy. It's not a mental ideal or a dream or anything. It's as real as we experience our reality right now in this 3D reality.
I'd like to say something. Everybody knows that I fast for long periods of time, and I do that to create this understanding of what's going on. I don't recommend this for you guys unless you practice fasting for years and years. But this one particular time, I fasted for just over a month, about 32 days or 34 days. I went from 95 kilos down to around about, I think it was about 62 kilos by the time I'd finished. I had to start eating again. I was forced to eat again because what happened. But there's a stage in there that is so addictive that you do not want to let go. And that stage is you suddenly become like everything is so damn simple.
it becomes so addictive that once you get that feeling, you don't want to let go of it. And that's the problem, because you get so addicted that you don't want to let go. You don't want to drink. You don't want to smoke. You don't want to take any drugs. You're just trying to hold that feeling as long as you can. And the thing is...
did you say it's the feeling of the simplicity of everything?
Yeah, it's like every question gets answered immediately in your head, and it's like you touch everything in the universe, you touch everything on the planet, you understand the rhythm of life itself, and it's like
you are everything, you know everything, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just perfect. Everything is in its space and in its place. And there's this understanding of just well-beingness that I've experienced exactly what you're saying, Peter, and I know that you've experienced it because what you're saying correlates exactly to my awakening. And I tell you, when it first happened to me, I didn't sleep solid for 6 days. I couldn't. I was literally buzzing just from, and it only lasted a second, probably in real time, but it had that much of a profound effect on me. I was literally buzzing off the chart, for 6 days. And
I just had a taste of that myself because I just did a juicing fast for about 10 days. And day 2 or day 3, I was shaking. I hit the deck. I was on the couch, couldn't move. I had a headache. I literally couldn't get myself off the couch. Once I got past that, I had this sense of well-being that was, it was cellular. It went down to my core. And I was in such a good mood. And any parents out there who've got teenagers will confirm that, shopping in a mall with teenage daughters and a 5-year-old can be one of the most stressful things you'll ever do. And we had, on one of these days, we just had the best day. And because I was coming from that space, I completely influenced their state of where they were, and we just had the most gorgeous day together. And it stayed with me right throughout that that fasting period, and I felt myself drop. I felt it was like I dropped into myself, and I lost it when I had my first meal. It was really weird.
I'll tell you something. There's actually a thing to get at during the course of that, and it's called perfect clarity. And the thing is, that's the warning sign, because that perfect clarity, it actually your mind actually says, if you don't start eating, you'll die. And that's that. If you don't listen to that one, you're gone. And I had to be literally hospitalized, and because I couldn't eat. I'd shrunk my stomach so small that I had no capacity to take food, so they had to induce food into me. So it is a dangerous thing to do, because fasting for short amounts of time, like Lisa, that's great. You'll get the taste of it. Fine. I do not recommend anybody do the sort of fasting I do. It's dangerous. I eat my own muscles. I start eating my own organs. It's a great way to get rid of cancer, by the way. Go alkaline and don't eat, and you'll eat anything that's in you.
I eat my muscles.
You can do. Sorry, Barbara, what was that?
No, I said, what a visual. I know that he doesn't mean he literally is chewing on his muscles, but I know what he means, but it just cracked me up because I can see it. Sorry.
Well, a juicing fast is different again, because you are still getting vitamins and minerals and the things that you need. And I was not hungry. And I felt good. I felt energized. Urine fasts, apparently, I'm not going there, but there, you apparently can do those for extended periods of time. But no food or water at all. I think you have to go through a process. Like I do know a woman who claims to be a breatharian. She doesn't have a kitchen in her home. But there was certainly a rite of passage she had to go through to get to that point. And I've never seen her eat. So you can't just do that from straight off the bat. That's just dangerous, and people have died. So
I've never heard of a breatharian. I mean, she literally lives on breath, on breathing.
Yeah,
they live on air and nutrients in the air. Yeah, I've never taken the risk of going that last step because that clarity has always warned me against it for some reason. And if you are a breatharian, you have to learn how to conserve your energies and so on. And I don't know if it's physically. I think in the old days it was physically possible. I just wonder, like you can get nutrients out of water and so on. So there must be a way to do this. But to this day, I still don't actually fully understand the concept. So yeah.
Well, it's
just through sun gazing to practice that does decrease your appetite as well as energize you and feed you, energetically. And I think what you said is true. It used to be far more common and easy a long time ago, but I think that this part of this whole paradigm that we're going through is that we're regaining that ability because it's exploded. The knowledge about this has exploded.
One of the things that all of this ties into, what man is discovering is that anything he believes to be true is possible. And this has been expressed in all kinds of traditions. The Bible says that look, there is nothing that can place into their minds that be unattainable for them. This is something that, we've got to move beyond our conditioning and our doctrinations of what is real and what is possible. There is, the idea that you can live without food. It started with someone else's an idea because all food is and all anything is just energy. That's all it is. And it's all coming out of you. So you understand the whole process of food is you project an apple and it becomes real in your reality, from the energy that came out of you, and then you take that energy because you feel that you need it, and you ingest it so that you can feel as though none of that is really necessary. On an energetic level, none of that is really necessary. And you mentioned it right. Everyone will notice, at least most people that I've ever talked to, you don't eat as much in the summertime. You just don't. There's more sunlight, there's more energy, there's more, and your body will react and respond to that. I hardly eat at all in the summer. Very light meals, it's just the way it is. And, a lot of ideas we bind ourselves to. Like who said that we had to grow old and die at 70 or 80 years old? It's something that's hard ingrained in us, I imagine, but it's not necessarily true. This is one of the things that I discovered. I always grew up as someone who had to watch their weight. And I tried everything. I tried Slim Fast. I tried, anything that, I could think of, and it never worked. And, it wasn't until someone told me, he says, it's not the food that you're eating. It's what you believe about the food that you're eating. He goes, that's why diets only work with some people and it doesn't work with others. It's what they believe about the food. You'll find some skinny kid who says, I can eat anything I want, and I never gain a pound. And they do. They'll eat. There's this skinny kid who's my roommate now. He will eat 4 or 5 plates of food, don't know where it goes, right? And be hungry 2 hours later. And I'm like, how, it's my metabolism. I can eat anything I want. And it's the belief. And where others, think that, hey, if I get near a cupcake, I'm going to gain pounds. And they do. So these are the things, we've got to stretch our imagination. We've got to imagine something that all the things that we experience in our life as fears and hurtful, poisonous things are not necessarily so. It's the fear that makes it so.
So is food itself a placebo effect? In a sense.
Michael and I also have, like instance, in the course, we've got a bodybuilding thing where you don't actually lift a weight, you don't do anything. You say to yourself, "Oh, I'm going to get a six-pack here on my stomach and do the exercises," and next minute you got a six-pack sitting on your stomach. It's all the way of where you create your own energy. He's better at explaining these things than me, which is why we keep him in the limelight, because he's very good at explaining things on how you can change anything. Look, the concept is you can take a handful of arsenic, and if you change the energy pattern of yourself, you could eat that arsenic and you wouldn't die. Do not try this at home.
This is a documented case, Peter. There was a group of people. They were lost somewhere in the Pacific. The boat had capsized, and they're in a lifeboat. And after about 3 or 4 days, they were so dehydrated, and you hear that old term, water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. That was literally the situation that they were in. Well, the people on the boat, they began to imagine that the water around them was fresh and clean. What if this water that we're around was fresh and clean? We could just drink it and scoop it up, and it would be so refreshing, and this and that. And they were all talking about this and imagining the water fresh and clean. And then someone reached in off the side of the boat and sipped the water, and it wasn't salty. And they all began to drink and survived. They survived 15 days out at sea, which normally would be impossible without water. But they said, we were drinking the seawater. And everyone knows that if you drink seawater, you dehydrate even faster. But that didn't happen in their case. There's so many examples of things that should have happened but didn't happen. And this is I'm a huge proponent of this, because I was paralyzed from the neck down and given complete, verification by every specialist and doctor that it would never change. And I'm walking. Well, I'm not walking very well today, but I'm walking and I'm moving and I've got my feeling back. So I know that, none of these things, there's no limitation to what you can do. And this is what it means to be empowered.
Exactly, Bob. And you're an example, you're an example of being struck down by a force and choosing the higher path and going, well, I'm going to beat this at all odds. They told you we're going to die. No, that's not going to happen. They told you we're going to walk again. No, that's not going to happen. Why? It's because you're a natural energy master. You understand the concept of energy. You understand the concept of what you perceive is not your reality. What you choose is your reality. And you have conquered your own reality. And from there, nothing will ever stop you. One day you won't be just walking, Bob. You'll be flying.
Well, this is one of the things that and I don't mean to step on anyone's toes, but I listen to a lot of people who try to give good advice, and you've got to stop drinking, and you've got to stop smoking, and you've got to eat this, and you've got to eat that, and blah 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 blah, and my mind just says that's bullshit. I can.
Well, I can give you another personal experience too. My daughter, when she was younger, when she was 2, started developing asthma, and I was buying this powder from India called amla powder, and it's from a gooseberry, and it has the most potent vitamin C of anything on the planet. And I put it into capsules, some veg caps, and I'd give those to her when she started to get asthma, and it would take away the asthma attack. Within 15, 20 minutes, she was normal again. It was amazing stuff. And we were on a drive. We were out in the middle of the country one day, middle of nowhere, and she had something to eat and had a reaction to it and started to have an asthma attack. And we didn't have a puffer on us. We didn't, I had no idea where we were in terms of in relationship to a hospital. And I just talked her through it. She was in the back of the car, and I gave her this sort of visualization. I talked her through it, and I got her to imagine that she was taking 2 amla capsules. And we just kept saying amla, over and over, over and over. And within less than 10 minutes of doing this, she drifted off to sleep. And so the whole car was silent as she was asleep because we're all listening to her breathing and listening to it actually improve. And she slept for 20 minutes, and we were listening to her breathing improve. And by the time she woke up, she was fine, perfectly fine. And so I'd had no experience with her in the past that would indicate to me that if we'd done nothing, that she would just improve on her own. It was normally a very slippery slope, down into an attack. There was, only by giving her that amla in the past had I ever been able to put a stop to it. And that for me, and it was a huge experience for her. She was only about 8 or 9 at the time, but it had a major impact on her and told her that there's not much she couldn't figure out with her mind and how that can impact on her body in the moment.
She can heal herself.
She can heal herself, and she knows it. Deep down, somewhere in there, she knows it. So whenever she comes up with something with me and I go, remember amla? She'll go, oh, yeah, okay.
I had this experience with my nephew. Now, my youngest nephew, his name is Julian. When he was 4 years old, he was diagnosed with lymphatic cancer. And he had a big, huge lump on the side of his neck that he would complain about all the time and how much it hurt. And his mom, my brother's wife, asked me to come over and see if I could do something energetic-wise. So I went over and I just looked at little Julian and I was like, Julian, I was like, do you want to get better? He's like, yeah, I hate this hurt. And I convinced him that if he went to bed tonight and he wanted to get better, he could make himself better just by wishing it. Well, a week later, they did a MRI and did nothing. So much so that the doctor said that we were trying to commit fraud. We literally got accused of trying to commit fraud.
Oh wow!
And how so? You were faking the illness in the first place.
I maybe for insurance. I don't know. I don't know. So that they can collect more money. I don't know why they would think that we were lying to them. We showed them the doctor's reports and everything, and they said it's not possible, but it happened.
How long ago was that?
Let's see. He's 12, so that's 8 years ago.
And how long have you been recognized by family members as having disability?
Ever since I was a kid, since I was 4.
You know what's impressive about that is that if they recognize it in you, that they actually encouraged it as opposed to try and suppress it. I'm amazed at that.
You have to understand. At this point, I was already a grown man. And there's parts of my family that will not speak to me. My sister hasn't spoken to me in like 15 years. My parents only speak to me when they absolutely have to. So it's been, they're Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's all.
I ended.
Enough said. We have a caller, guys. I'm just going to bring them out. Area code 443. If you're there.
That's me.
That you?
Yeah.
Hi. What's your name?
I've been on the line. I'm Gina.
Oh, hey, Gina. How are you?
I'm okay.
Hey, Gina. How are you going, mate?
I'm good.
Was there something you wanted to comment, or were you just listening in?
Mainly just kind of listening in. sort of tuned into, I guess, the food thing. My daughter's daughter was this, like, identified with allergies. And anyway, we're off that. So, let's get on with it. But yeah, there's a lot of allergies, I guess, or food intolerances, and me and Peter, I guess, kind of, are people who can go without eating for a long time, or just, have an aversion to food. So I guess the aversion, is it's kind of when your body rejects something that just isn't good. But anyway, I'm just kind of, butting into the conversation. So
I'm going to clarify what you just said, which is, when I look at food, it has to be something I really enjoy, because my brain keeps telling me, this is a trap, this is a trap, this is a trap, this is a trap, this is going to keep you here, this is a trap.
Really?
Okay.
When you say keep you here, where is here?
On this plane, solid on this plane, grounded.
Maybe that's it. Because I'm more in the higher realms, I guess. I'm not very grounded. I know, like Michael is very, earth, salt of the earth, grounded kind of person. Are you there, Michael?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So, and I tend to, like, fly out of, into that. But, yeah, maybe that's it.
You and Peter both feeling in the lighter realms. There is something in both of your voices. It's like your voice isn't even fully coming from your voice box. There's a quality to both your voices. It's very similar. Is anyone else seeing that?
It's not. It's literally that we're talking outside of our body, and it's just we're projecting the sound before we're talking it. That's all.
Well, on the reverse side, then, when you listen to Michael, there's a quality to his voice too, unless he's like, happy and laughing, which he does from time to time. But for the most part, he's very grounded, and that quality is, I can feel it when he talks. He is a grounded individual.
Right,
exactly,
and passionate.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's really different qualities. Well, thanks for listening in. And I'll just put you back on hold, and you can keep listening.
Okay, thanks.
Well, Lisa?
Yes.
After having listened to this discussion for a while now, my first thought is I want to go to there. So,
yep.
When you guys when the conversation first started, Bob was talking about his experiences, and Michael was talking about his. What do you recommend for folks who are attempting to achieve the same thing, whether they're enlightened or not enlightened at all? Because you both know me pretty well, and I would consider myself to be on that general path, but I've not had that experience, and I meditate and I do other things. So you've got a person like me, and then you've got the folks who are in the chat room and listening to this that are also at various degrees of either non-awake or completely awake, who again have not experienced it. What would you suggest to folks like that to get to that place?
Can I, Michael's going to explain what we're going to do right here and now in a meditation, and then after I'll clarify what he's talked to in my way, and so you all know exactly what we're going to do. And I think you're going to really, really enjoy this. Really enjoy it. It's going to be one of our most intense, freeing experiences you've ever had. So let's let Michael answer this one, please.
Yeah, people typically are going the wrong way to have out-of-body experiences. Like, of all the material I've seen out there, it's like they try to get into a theta state. They lay down on the bed, and then they try to get into waking sleep paralysis, which is tricking the body into thinking that the mind is asleep, and then you can just levitate right out of your body. It's really hard to do that because there's a lot of fears associated with a psyche that has not been out of the body before. And so the instant you start to get it, you either get excited or you get scared, heart beats, one little burst of adrenaline, and boom, you're right out of your trance, you're gone, you fail. And so people try that hundreds of times and then they give up. It's way easier to focus on having a lucid dream first. In other words, you wake up inside of the dream. You just realize, I'm dreaming. And the meditation we're going to do is going to aid with that. And also, I'm going to give you guys some techniques to have it just happen, that you realize that you're dreaming, because that's a projection. That's a form of a projection. Now, most lucid dreams take place inside of your body, like your consciousness is experiencing the inside of your body in a completely different way, like represented as a world even. But once you wake up inside of a dream, you can project from there in many different ways. Like when you're in your dream body, you realize you're awake and dreaming. You can just start shoving energy out of your forehead, which will bring you right back to your body in bed, yet your eyes are still closed. You keep shoving that energy, and eventually you just pop right out of your body, and you're still in somewhat of a foggy, sleep-like trance, so it's really easy to do. Or the easiest way is you wake up inside of a dream, you just levitate up in the air and ask God to take you somewhere, and I swear a huge invisible force just grabs a hold of you, and it can whisk you away and separate each other, a higher body or a denser body, whatever. So all of the doors really start to open up when you make your dream conscious.
Today we basically got this flip polarity. So unlike Michael's normal things, we are going to do the reverse of grounding. We're actually going to ground into the universe. So it's going to be a very unusual thing. We've never attempted this before, and we're as a group, and so it's going to be really good. I believe that some people want to take a music break, Lisa. So, do you think we should finish this complete this conversation after the music break?
Yeah, I think let's have a music break, everybody, so everyone can go and do what they need to do before they settle in for a meditation. And we'll come back. You guys can clarify a bit more about what we're going to do, and then we'll do it.
And we want questions so everybody knows exactly what we're going to do. So if any people listening, and Bob's got a question, we'll take Bob's question, and then we'll talk. We'll see what happens in the chat room and see if everybody's on the same page, and then let's just kick this baby to the curb.
Okay. See you shortly.
Una cartina della metropolitana. Una camera
Okay, welcome back. Nice little groovy break there. I liked it. So, Peter, do you want to continue?
Yeah. Bob wanted to ask a question before the break. Are you back, Bob?
Yes. Well, it was related to what Michael was saying, because I almost always slip in and out of lucid dreams whenever I dream. But the problem I have is once I'm awake in the dream, I find I fall asleep again. Like I completely, like, I'll be awake for periods of time, and I do some really cool stuff, but eventually I get completely, almost like, you know, when you wake up from a dream and the dream kind of fades away. Well, I wake up and then my dream, well, my wakefulness kind of fades away. How do you stop that?
There's several techniques. You've got to accept more the reality that you're in and practice. You're in my course, so actually practice more of the techniques that are in the course for how to feel energy in this world. So you basically accept the reality that you're in more as real, and then expand your mind outward into it and feel it as being a part of yourself. If you're near a wall, slap the wall. That reinforces that's a real wall. You know, if there's an object in front of you, touch it or smell it. You know, engage yourself in the reality, and you can also ground into it. So just like we do in these meditations where you expand your mind past your body, through the floor, through your feet, do that in the realm that you're in, and it brings the realm into a much more solid focus.
So I do exactly what I do here.
Yep.
Do the same thing there.
Yep.
Okay.
Any questions in the chat room?
No, not at this point. Is everybody okay with what we're going to do in terms of meditation? Everyone's up for that? Just let me know in the chat. Yep. Yeppa. Is the answer there for Barbara? This discussion seems to be centered around states of consciousness or awareness. Thinking in terms of states is very limiting.
No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that at all. We're actually talking about the perception of everything and everything, encompassing all that is and all that may be, understanding that you are, it's not different awarenesses, you are the only awareness. And if you connect to something by, you know, like letting yourself drift and becoming part of it, that is not, that is completely, you have to be grounded or understand yourself in that aspect. It's not a different level of consciousness or anything. It's actually knowing who you are in the universe or in the collective. And today we're not going to go to the collective even. We're actually going to go past that. We're going to basically be standing in the universe, looking back at this planet, understanding that we can actually ground into nothing, and which is, I think, is going to be a really cool thing. And the other thing is, we're going to show you today that you can do this at any time you like. And the other thing that's most important, I'm actually going to probably start it, I think, from get you to understand where I am by just talking and doing the thing, and then Michael's going to connect to me, and then he'll do his section.
Yeah, I think I'll do the energy section and the preparedness, and I'll get everybody. I'll teach them about forming the mirror around the spirit column to turn inside out, get them around the room, and then have you take over from there.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, here comes some our background music.
Okay, everybody, as always, we're going to start with breath. Feet should be shoulder width apart, and on the floor, your hands should be resting comfortably and not crossed. And the inhale is always slow and deliberate, and we're not just focusing on breath in through the nose or the mouth. It's 360 degrees through every single pore. And we're putting no emphasis whatsoever on the out-breath, just holding the energy to this. Immediately open up your soft spots. They're the easiest to feel an energy rush in, apart from your nose or your mouth, is your eyes and your ears. So when you breathe in, it's very obvious. If you focus on those areas, you can feel that there's actually energy rushing in through those pores. And that's all energy really is, the same thing as air. It's just in a lighter frequency than air. And, if you want to go a step further, that's all water is air in a thicker frequency. You want to go a step further, that's all solid matter is water in a thicker frequency. So this is just all different expressions of energy, and it's all you, every single bit of it. So make the breath as slow as possible, because it's way more important that you feel energy rushing in through every pore than it is that you're taking in air. So as slow as you need to keep that feeling. And remember that the body is composed primarily of empty space. And just allow that empty space in your body to begin to expand. So as you're doing these inhales, you're not only condensing this energy to yourself, but you're also allowing your space to expand. So you're slowly starting to grow into a bubble past your body with each in-breath. It's filling up this bubble bigger. And it gets really powerful when you can feel all of the space around you in a singular bubble. It's like you achieve a single-celled type of consciousness to complement your multi-celled consciousness of your body, because then you can also begin to breathe in with this bubble and hold energy into the bubble, because you've expanded your sense of self. So focus now on not only breathing in through every pore of your body, but breathing in through every pore of your bubble. A lot of you are feeling shifty feelings, like almost like you're slipping to the left and to the right, or like you've just stepped off of a rocking boat. And that's basically your mind essence coming out of your body while you're still in it. Okay, now that you've established yourself as a bubble and not just your body, I want you to feel into your very core. If you were to represent this physically, it'd be a straight line from your mind center and right down your spine. That's what we call our spirit column, or our spirit cord. It's like our very core center. What I want you to do is mentally wrap a mirror around it, like a mylar reflective sheet. You wrap that around your spirit cord so that all light coming into you gets reflected right back out. There you go. So it's like you started this natural inward polarization, but then you set up a mirror at your very core so that it has to reflect right back out. Now feel this light reflecting outward and allow your mind to drift with it. So it's shooting outward in all directions, and now you need to let your mind get attached to it. There you go. Yeah, it can feel uncomfortable at first. It can feel like your head is growing to the size of an elephant, but just trust that nothing's going to happen. You're not going to lose your human shape or anything. You're just putting your mind in more places. So continue to let your mind expand with the outpouring light. Now what I want you to do is flip your perception of existence entirely. You're not a body looking out into the world. You're a world, a universe, a room. For now we're just doing a room. You're a room looking back in at your body, which is the center core. And Peter, you take it from here.
Now I want you to listen to my voice. The words that I'm saying isn't important. The vibration that I'm showing you is the frequency I'm sitting at. Now I want you to drift to that frequency. I want you to feel it. I want you to understand. Just allow yourself to drift up into that frequency. You're feeling lighter. You have no balance of who you are. Your reality is free. The tone is Isa. The earth itself is singing to you. You can hear it in the distance, yet you don't feel a part of it. You're no longer looking from this plane, you're looking at this plane. Lift yourself higher and higher. Now see yourself as this object. The tone. It's all about the vibration, the frequency of where you're looking from. Yeah, here you are. Here we go. Lift up. You should be getting a warm glow. You should know that your body feels light. You almost feel like your physical body is lifting. Your eyes feel like they're trying to float out of your head. You're opening your eyes. You look back. You see that you stand upon the universe looking at this smooth, small blue ball with the blue haze of consciousness over the top of it. Feel the vast, relaxing universe. You are now one with all that has been, all that will be, and now you're going to create it as a presence. Hold that concept. Let yourself float there. Be it for the split second. This time, hold it. You're no longer breathing through your nose. You're shimmering backwards and forwards. In and out. Your whole soul is breathing as you look and hold the universe in all its patterns. Just relax into that. Hold it as long as you want.
Now, while you're holding this state, I want a few of you to experiment something. Very gently begin to rock your body first to the left and then to the right. And I want you to examine that before your body moves to the left or the right, your soul moves first. You'll feel energy moving in the electromagnetic spectrum, and then your body moves. So it's actually your soul that moves your body. It's not the other way around.
Some of you will already be rocking before Michael even says, to be quite honest, because it's just a natural thing. It's part of the flow. You're actually being part of the energy. Your mind itself has told your brain that you're not the same thing. You feel the difference. Now try and see without opening your eyes completely.
Now, a lot of you would have easier success with this if you go into Mind Center and use the pineal, but you also have another pineal gland that exists in a lighter frequency right behind your breastplate. So if you make a motion of dropping your mind down into your heart, a lot of you will actually have an easier time succeeding that way, and it's like your heart becomes a third eye and you can literally see with it.
There's something that always happens to me when I do this. It's like I can hear didgeridoos playing in the background. I don't know why, but I enjoy that for some reason. That melodic, harmonious sound echoes in the universe as well. Do you understand what you've just done? You actually became what the shamans call the Great Spirit in the sky. You are standing in that foreground right this minute. Alright, Michael, can you bring us back down nice and gently so they hold the images in their head?
Okay, everybody begin to breathe through your stomach and begin to collect all of your energies right behind your belly button. Just picture an empty space like a black hole right behind your belly button and breathe into it. Pull your mind back inside the confines of your skull. Doing that, breathing in through the black hole in the belly button, pulling your mind back into your skull until your perception is that you have a body, but you feel energy touching your body. I can't go there because I'm permanently inside out, but okay.
Okay. Some of you would have got a slight shudder as you came back down. That's normal. That's just basically your soul coming back into your body, believe it or not. That's why sometimes when you're in a dream state or you're going into that dream state, you have that sudden shock of you falling. Well, that's not you falling. It's actually a soul coming back into your body quickly because it realizes you weren't deeper sleep enough for it to get fully away. Just breathe. Let your mind talk to your brain and let it see the images that your mind has to offer now.
When you come back, just let me know in the chat room that you're back.
I think we lost him, Lisa.
Yep. They haven't come back yet.
They're up there with that bird I hear in the background.
Mm. Now you know why I'm addicted to this.
What's the longest that you stayed in a state like that, Peter and Michael and Bob?
I'm constantly in that state. Because
you lose. There's no real sense of time sometimes. I don't know.
Lisa's back and she's got a huge craving for salt. Any idea what that's about?
Salt can act as a trap for non-individualized negative portions of your own mind energy, and so if you ingest salt, it gets rid of them. Salt cleansing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go have some salt.
Well, yeah, we, Peter and I and other energy masters, were always in this state of inside out. Like in various degrees. That like when I'm typing on the computer or something, I'm maybe a few feet past my body, but when I'm walking in the park or when I'm practicing my aerokinesis, I'm like, 100 feet expanded past my body and feeling it all as myself. And this is our daily operating state, which is why we create our weather, why we can change the directions of the wind or make clouds disappear and all of that stuff, because we are the world. If you're not the world, you can't do a damn thing. You're a powerless creature. You just go with the sway and you unconsciously create. But if you are the world, you can just say, hey, it was really hot yesterday. How about we make it overcast tomorrow? And you just expand your field way up into the atmosphere and send the instructions, and sure enough, tomorrow it'll be a foggy, overcast day. Or, if it's raining torrentously and you really need to go shopping, you can open up a hole and 15 minutes later it won't be raining for a few minutes, so you can get out of your car without getting wet.
I've done that.
Yeah, and people do this one a lot. They don't even mean to. They go, "Oh, I need a car park. I need a car park." But suddenly a car park comes up. That for some reason there's cars everywhere, and there's no car left, and the car park's there. The side effect of being like I am when I go to shopping centres, people feel me walk past. They literally feel me walk past because I can't help it. I put my soul so expanded past my body that they actually feel me walk through them. this has a strange effect on them because they'll look around and just look at me like, what the hell just happened? If they're really in tuned, the side effect for me is sometimes I get to feel some of their energies and sometimes I don't like it. So, not so much the negativity, but just like some people are sort of energy, and that makes me go, oh, that didn't feel good, and so on. Yeah, so it has its pluses and it has its minuses, like everything in this universe.
How about you, Bob? How'd you find that?
I found it, quite familiar. It's almost identical to a meditation I do all the time. And I experienced, actually, Peter, and I don't know if this is accurate, but I saw you, and you were in. It almost looked like you were wearing some sort of African robe. It looked like you had like a crown on or something. You look very regal, is what I'll say. I don't know if that's what you're projecting, but it's what I saw.
I don't project regal, but I do believe that area is sort of like my domain, if you know what I mean. Like I feel like when I'm there, I feel really connected, and this is my space, sort of thing, if you understand what I mean. And I've always preferred to wear sarongs and stuff like that, so I find that most comfortable.
Well, it came through to me as you standing there like a king.
Well, that's how I feel when I'm up there. I really do. I feel very empowered. So, and hence the reason that sometimes I don't want to come down. Yeah.
Well, it looks like from the comments in the chat room that everyone enjoyed that as well. A lot.
Yeah, I'd like to say that when you expand out like this, I know there was a comment in the chat that it's limiting to view it as states of existence, but there's no superior or inferior. It's like you can feel all of these layers at the same time, and it's great and complete, but it's also wonderful, too, to set your body perception to rest and put a portion of yourself in these layers and experience it as a completely separate world. And as you go through each one of these layers, you'll see that they have different operating rules and stuff, and some of them can fly at light speed, and some of them you can barely fly at all, and some of them you can walk through matter, and some of them you can't. Some of them are filled with positive beings, some are filled with, negative beings, but it's also a delight to experience the separation as well between the layers and experience them as realms and worlds unto themselves. So when Peter said that he feels like like it's his home and his operating state, or how Bob saw it interpreted with the robes and everything, it's because he spends more time there experiencing it as a world or a realm than you guys would have. Time and space are overlap. Am I back?
You're back. Yeah.
Okay. As you go out in these layers, you got to understand that time and space is overlap. So, right here, you're in a singular time space, like you have 24 hours in a day or whatever. If you expand out to a lighter density, or not expand, I'm sorry, you project your full awareness into this lighter density, then you've just gone into a lighter time space, which means that an hour in this realm can equate to like 3 days in that next lighter time space. From that time space, you can project to an even lighter time space, your full awareness, and then all of a sudden an hour here can be like 3 months there. You can even go one further. I mean, it's limitless. Like you could literally spend 10,000 years in heightened states of existence in realms and get back to the next day in the life of your body whenever you feel like it. So there's so much more to this than, just feeling good. Within viewing all things as being yourself and learning how to make the unconscious conscious, you break all of the barriers of space and time, which is why we're always saying ascension, is now. Once you project your full consciousness into these different layers of being, you're free of space and time.
One of the things I noticed, Michael, is with this pulsing, and my breathing got quicker and quicker until it almost stopped. Where I didn't have any. My chest was moving, but I wasn't taking very, very, very little air. And it was like when you told us to start moving.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I experienced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at that point, Peter said, and some of you probably have already started swaying back and forth, and he was right. I'd already started swaying back and forth before Michael said that, and I felt my energy moving before my physical body.
Right.
And I was also charmed by, you did the same thing, Michael, earlier in the meditation where you said, your head is probably feeling like it's exploded. And
right.
Just moments before that, I felt exactly that, and then you said it. That's what I adore about these is I start to feel something, and then you guys mention it, and it's as though almost as if you're right there with me.
Well, we are. We literally
we
are. Yeah, we literally are. Michael has the ability, and I have the ability to actually feel what you guys are feeling. And so I felt what I normally go through, which is that slight rocking sensation backwards and forwards, sideways. And sometimes I actually go in little circles. If I'm there for quite a period, I can feel my body doing like a little loop, so to speak. And and then Michael thought, well, we may as well get everybody going at that sway, so to speak, and get a bit of the harmonics there.
It's really amazing with another person. I'm really good at tuning to people. So if you're standing in front of me, I can take your two hands and then project into you. So I expand into the person, come to their vibration, and then ramp them up, and their bubble expands into my bubble, and I'm able to literally bring a person to this perception, whether they've meditated before or not. And then I explain to them, I show them how the electromagnetic body actually moves before the physical one does, and before you know it, I'm doing like these complicated, almost martial arts type Tai Chi moves with our hands interlocked, and our hands are flowing perfectly together. They don't skip a beat, and I'm swirling and going up and down, and it's like both of us know what's going to happen with the physical before it even happens. And so all of a sudden we're weaving this intricate dance that it looks like it was choreographed, but it's not. And the more you can become comfortable with shifting your perception away from physical body and into soul, which is inside and outside of the physical body, you can begin to move yourself without effort. Because, guys, it's really an illusion that the muscles are contracting to move the body. Your soul is contracting your muscles as a result of a mental movement. And honestly, I have no idea why we can't just fly or levitate and everything. I think it's just breaking the rest of these mental barriers, that it's our body that moves our energy, because it's really our soul that, it's the other way around. As you could see, everybody did it. You could feel when you went to move left, your energy first projected out, and then your body followed, right? So,
Michael, don't you have a video on your website that examples that ebb and flow, kind of a dance that you were just talking about with a woman?
Yeah, it was in 2010 before I lost weight. I don't look so good in it.
Well, I actually saw
I'll
that.
go ahead and post
it was very interesting. Is that on your website or the YouTube channel?
It's not on my avatar channel. It's on my old one, but I'll go ahead and share it.
So for folks who are just listening to this and want to try and reach it, can they find it on your YouTube channel?
I'm going to post the link to it right now. It's an old YouTube channel of mine.
Okay. And what's your new YouTube channel?
It's Avatar.
So it's YouTube/user/Avatar Energy Master, or just Avatar Energy, or?
It's Avatar Energy Mastery, all one word.
Okay.
Is my YouTube channel, and avatarenergymasters.com is my website.
Thanks.
Can I jump in here for a moment, fellows?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
please.
I've just been listening quietly today and doing a few things and taking it all in. And I couldn't believe when you started talking about where you wanted to go today, Michael and Peter, because my range of experiences with out of body is actually quite limited. But the one place that I have gone back to several times was exactly where we went today. And the experience that I have when I go there has always been the same, and it's as you described. It's actually the only way to describe it is being connected to the all. But what happens every time I go there, and it's excuse me, I haven't spoken for about an hour, and my voice has just gone. Taking in energy from the universe, but projecting it back to the earth. And the way that it expresses when I do it is that I'm actually singing. But frustratingly, I can't do it with my voice. It happens from inside of me. So I'm projecting a tone which wouldn't be possible to sing it because it's all tones, it's all overtones. And, excuse me, I need some water. I don't have any within reach. So, but it was extraordinary to go back there and in a slightly different way. And although I ended up having to stop myself from doing what I usually do, I ended up in the most incredible blue haze.
That's what?
Had a very relaxing time. But I just wondered if you could tell me because the urge to project that tone is something that I didn't ever intend to do. It just happened when I went there.
Well, that's what we call inner sound, and I'm curious that you bring that up because it's actually how we as a race can become telepathic is energy sensitivity. Because any of you guys, if you sit up right now and you go back to that space, if you expand into the energy awareness and then you start thinking in words, I swear to you, your throat chakra is going to vibrate. Your voice box does not vibrate, but your soul vibrates right in your throat area to every word you speak or think. So in other words, thoughts have a sound. So when you think in words, they have a sound. It's in a lighter frequency than this one. So you can tune your inner ears to actually be able to hear these sounds. So you can project just by thinking. I mean, basically that's how you speak anyhow. You're just thinking at the physical level. You can think sounds and tones at the mental level and project them in the spectrum of light.
Can I just ask something in regards to the rocking? Years ago, many years ago, I was given, my mum bought me some tarot cards, and I spent a few years, learning and playing with the tarot cards, and then got to the point where I didn't need the tarot cards anymore to do a reading for someone. I would just go into a meditative state, and it just sort of evolved. I just found that I wasn't looking at the cards anymore. I was actually looking backwards and forwards or side to side, and that was giving me information. I don't know how. I still don't know how it worked. And the first couple of times it happened to freak me out. But I don't even know what I was doing, essentially. But rocking a certain way was like a definitive yes. Rocking the other way was a definitive no. If they were asking yes, no questions. And sometimes I would just sort of sit there and rock in circles and receive information. And it was always incredibly accurate. But I don't know where it was coming from.
That's really cool. Well, if you think about it at the soul level, how we're all overlapped, how I talk about I can hold a person's hand and our bubbles overlap. See, our bubbles are already overlapped. All this is really doing is taking our mind awareness, our conscious awareness, and making it conscious. Because all of us are perfectly connected and sharing one singular soul right now. But our conscious minds are completely unaware of it. So I think what you did was you allowed yourself to go into the soul focus, which is pretty much singular, everything about its individual parts called humanity, and you just allowed that to come through your and it used your body as a communication means to let the other parts know what it was saying. But we have
as the chat is indicating, Michael, I think it's quite impressive that most of the people in the chat seem to completely understand where we're coming from, and I give them a lot of respect for that, because they all understand that some of them are different things. So just to spend a bit of time with them and trade a little bit of info with them for a while and that sort of thing. That's why when I go into that higher thing, for some reason I always hear that sound of the didgeridoo, and like that vibrating sound, and it seems to talk to me. In that state. It doesn't talk to me when I'm in reality, but in that state, it seems to be saying things that I just go, wow, and I think that's what's happening with you. You connect to the vibration within, and then it goes out, feels everything, and then comes back and gives you information. Does that make sense to you, Lisa and Michael?
Yeah, and it evolved past the rocking. I didn't need. I got past that and wasn't rocking anymore, but I was still getting the information. So it was a process that evolved.
Yeah, I have a funny one. I had a student in my course. He was a Russian guy, and he'd been in the United States for 10 years, and he happened to live near Georgia, so he came and visited, stayed at the house, and he was talking about someone that he knew in Russia who was teaching his son how to play poker. Now these kids' switches are already turned on, and I'm not going to say, it's because they're crystal children, because every child ever born on the earth since the beginning of time is a crystal child. Children are born pure and in the soul perception. It's just the adults who take them out of it. But anyhow, the kid was having a hard time, beating his dad in poker, and the dad said, well, God damn it, just smell the cards. And he meant it metaphorically. Well, the kid took literally and started using his nose, and pretty soon he could tell his dad whatever the hell he had in his hand perfectly, because he was translating smell data into visual data just like a dog does. And this is another thing I teach in my course. Anything you see, you can also smell. The senses are overlapped in the central highway of your mind, and smell data can be transferred to visual data. Visual data can be transferred to smell data. Feeling data can be transferred to visual data. All of the senses are available, and that's where you start getting, the information out of everything, and you really expand your mind out into the world, because you can already see the world, right? Well, that's one of the first things I teach is how to connect eyesight to feeling. So it's the easiest way to expand your mind out into the world is to overlap your sense of touch with your sense of sight. But
the good thing about Michael is he the way I do things, I sort of get gobsmacked, and so I talk to Michael about how I think, and he knows how to turn it into words. And if I can't do that, I'll show him what I mean. Literally, I'll actually take him there. I'll go, well, come with me then, and I'll go and grab him and literally bring him out of his body with me, and I'll show him physically, spiritually, or whatever you want to call it, telekinetically, and literally show him, and then he'll know how to explain it normally for the average person to understand, because some of the things I do, I don't even know how I do it anymore, because I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. I'm now 50. I know I don't look 50, but I am 50, this, to me, it's second nature, and sometimes I don't even know how I'm doing it anymore, because it's become so simple to me that I've sort of forgotten.
You know what you reminded me of, what both you and Michael are reminding me of. There was a video clip that I saw years ago, and it's probably still on YouTube, about a young black blind guy who never used a cane. I think he'd been blind from birth, from memory, and he used to make clicking sounds like a dolphin, and had tuned himself to see, essentially, through these clicking sounds. Has anyone ever seen that?
I've seen it. Yep. He actually appeared on Oprah, I think.
Objects on a table. This is a stapler. This is or whatever, without just clicking.
Did anybody hear that bird start chirping in the background of one of the presenters right away? So that's another thing I always like to point out is what is the nature saying? It would have been me. Because that bird was complimenting what we were saying. It's another thing that you learn when you get in tune is you'll have a question sometimes and an animal will answer it for you. A butterfly of a specific color might fly by and that'll contain your answer, or a bird might appear, or a certain number of birds, dog. Everything is so interconnected. Like I like to say, there's not one single thing that's not connected to every single other thing. Like when someone says, do you think 9/11 had to do with this, or do you think the color blue has to do with this or that? If they're off on a tangent, I always like to say there's not one single thing that's not connected to every single other thing, but how thick is the thread connecting it? Because otherwise you can get really lost, like, no, a tiny butterfly over here didn't cause a hurricane over there, but it was certainly a part of it. Everything's connected, so.
Yeah, that happens with me a lot. I was
just gonna say, I bet Barbara knows all about that.
Yeah, I have a lot of animal, insect sightings that key into specific things that are happening to me at the moment, and I'm sure it's happened to me all of my life. I just didn't even notice it until the last, say, 3 or 4 years. And sometimes I have to be hit over the head, and so many times before I'm like, oh my God, I've seen that type of butterfly 5 times today. That's right. Really weird.
Yeah, examine what you were feeling, what you were thinking at the time, and you get so deep in this that pretty soon you start seeing that the shirts everybody's wearing, the color of the cars that are driving by, the types of cars that drive by, all connected to your moods, thoughts, and feelings. And that's when you really need a strong ego so you don't go insane. But the thing I want to leave you guys with is the strongest method I've found to wake up inside of your dreams, and that's to just say with strong mental force, as many times as you can remember during the waking day, I am dreaming. And just say it like you just know it. And I mean like in this reality, I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming. Reinforce that, and then eventually that echo is going to happen in your dreams. You'll just be dreaming, and I am dreaming. Oh, shit, I'm dreaming. What? And you're still there. So remind yourself that you're dreaming with as much force and conviction and belief daily as you can, and it'll just start to happen.
That's a really cool idea. Thank you.
Not only that, but one day we might just wake up and realize this is a dream. You'll just go, holy shit, I'm dreaming, and one of us will just fly out in the air.
Yeah, I'll wake up and I'll be like 15 years old going, God damn, that whole thing was a dream.
Hey guys, don't forget to everybody in the chat and everybody, don't forget to post these shows on your Facebook, so, and with the connection to the Collective Imagination site, because the more people we get to do these things and break this cycle of being completely stuck on this realm and feeling hopeless, the more energy we get to do bring sensible. Lisa, you want to wrap it up?
Well, just to let you know, we are getting around 1,000, sometimes 1,200 people listening every week. So good numbers, strong numbers, but we want it to grow. We want to reach that 3%. So share it. Yeah, share on your Facebook pages. Share on your YouTube channels if you've got them. On your other social media feeds. Let's reach that 3%. And I want to thank everybody, of course, Barbara, Bob, Michael, Peter, for being here with us again this week. I want to thank everybody who participates in the chat room. You guys always add so much value to the conversation. Thank you.
You rock.
And yeah, they do rock. And everybody who is currently out there listening and will listen over the next weeks and months to the archive, thank you for participating. And it doesn't matter when you tune in; you can still do these meditations, and you'll tune into the collective intent that we had at the time. So never fear. And we shall see you guys next week. There seems to be a pattern emerging. Of one week we focus on doing something for ourselves, and the next week we do a collective intent. It's more of a projected exercise. So any thoughts for next week? Start sharing them on the Facebook page.
Yep.
And bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.